Dear class, I hope this message finds you well. I was a little hesitant about doing a weekly video because I had some oral surgery this week. So I look a little swollen. I hope I can talk clearly and you can understand me, but I definitely wanted to touch base. First of all, we made it through the first quiz, right? Had a couple hundreds, really excited about that. Overall, I think the class did pretty well. I did have to make some corrections based on the reality. People did submit the right answer, but the computer didn't pick it up. So I really appreciate your patience and your tact with regard to your emails to me, making respectful requests for me to review the material. I really appreciate that. If you have not submitted your field trip already, your field trip assignment, just want to give you a couple of quick pointers. One, it talks about community development. And so, in taking your notes, how do all of the things that you see outside of the game relate to community development? People coming together, whether it's people, whether it's companies, whether it's families, whether it's students, whatever the case may be. Again, I only want original handwritten or typed notes. No summaries, no making it pretty. I want the notes, I want the pictures. I also want you to turn them in via Moodle. So please do not email them to me. I will only grade assignments that are turned in under the class assignment link for Moodle. This week is a great week in the class in terms of assignments. I'm excited because you're going to get to read some of my work with regard to Black athletes and trauma. And I really think what I tried to do in this piece was to really bring out some of the roles that social workers can play with regard to helping student athletes, in particular Black male student athletes. There's not a lot of literature out there when we talk about the mental health of Black student athletes and this issue of trauma. Despite the fact that, when we look at basketball, when we look at football, when we look at track, and increasingly some of the other sports, those sports are well populated with Black males. So I'm looking forward to you taking a look at that piece. Also, the video is mandatory this week. Anna Chayette, who's the dean of the School of Social Work at the University of Georgia, has a powerful piece on what student athletes bring, to the table outside of what they do on the court. And I love Anna Chayette. She did a piece for us earlier in talking about social workers as superheroes. There's also a piece on depression from the Atlantic. So you've got a nice little piece of content this week with regard to, sort of the role of social work and mental health in college athletics. And I'll tell you, out of all of the weeks that I might emphasize on the quiz, this might be the week. What else is happening? The issue brief. The issue brief is coming up soon. And what I really want to say about the issue brief is what I need for you to take from the case study is the fact that concepts are important to me, not sentences, not phrases, not quotes, but concepts. For example, if you're doing an assessment and you're going to use the ecological model, based on the ecological model, this assessment will include, that would be an example of the use of a concept. Or, trauma-informed therapy, which is something that will be talked about this week in class. Or depression. You don't have to define depression. You can use the term and then cite the term. So I want people to really work on concepts, not necessarily sentences, not necessarily quotes or phrases. And the next thing I really need for you to work on in this issue brief is a step-by-step process. One of the things that I find interesting at this particular level of school is that, sometimes it's difficult for students to just think A, B, C, D, what will I do? And in all due respect, I don't want a lot of conceptual stuff. I want you to say, I would do this. For example, if I'm going to advocate for student athletes' name, image, and likeness rights, I am going to write a brief. I am going to do some research. I am going to write a brief. I am going to contact my local representative. I am going to go on social media. I am going to get some testimonies from athletes. These are the things that I want you to write. Now, you might write what you're going to do and then why, and then what you're going to do and why, and then what you're going to do and why. But that's going to be critical to the issue brief. I see the case study as an opportunity for you to learn how I expect for you to put together papers and then transfer what you've learned in the first paper to the second paper. I'm not going to be able to review drafts of the issue brief, but I'm certainly willing to have conversations with you on Skype with regard to what your issue brief might be. As I share with you during our video conferences, I think that it is imperative that you select an issue that you are familiar with that you either know has a relationship with social work or you can make that connection with social work. You really have to have something that you know. And again, the largest part of the issue brief is going to be, your action steps. There's going to be a little bit of background. There's going to be a little bit about the role of social work. The primary part is, how as a social worker, what role are you going to play? And the paper on trauma that you're reading this week is a great way to clearly define, I'm going to be an advocate, I'm going to be a case manager, I'm going to be a clinician. How are you going to define what role you're going to play and what you're going to do? And I'll also send you a link that I did for another class at another university, same class at another university, that talks about how to put the issue brief together. What else is going on? I've really been struggling with this death of Kobe Bryant. There's been a lot of discourse about it. I grew up in the age of Michael Jordan, or I grew up in the age of Sidney Lowe, Derek Whittenburg, Terry Gannon, Chris Washburn, Thurl Bailey, and some other North Carolina State greats. But Kobe, as much as he did, there's been a lot of discourse about, 2003 and the sexual assault in Colorado. And I remember that time, and it was a tough time. As a matter of fact, many of you may not know this, but, he renamed himself the Black Mamba, to get away from being called Kobe Bryant on the court. He wanted his name to be Black Mamba because he wanted people to sort of leave that chapter in his life behind. So, while I have a great amount of respect for Kobe, and as a black man who, sometimes, feels as if life could end for me on any given day, I sort of empathize with those who are going to miss Kobe, but also those who, are not letting Kobe off because of the acts that he committed in 2003. It's complex. The way that we look at sports figures and the issues that intersect with social work, when those athletes are involved in those issues, they're complex. And that's why we need social workers. We need folks who, have a strong code of ethics, great moral foundation in terms of their education, but who are also able to look at things from different points of view. I am going to offer an extra credit assignment for folks to recoup some points on their quizzes. I'll be emailing that to you shortly. But yeah, what I would really appreciate, from time to time is, if you have any articles on the intersection between social work and sports that you'd like to share, you can send them to me and I'll share them with the class. I'm always up for a conversation. If you're really looking for some assistance with regard to your issue brief, I'm happy to schedule a Skype conference with you. Just drop me an email. We'll figure out a time to Skype. I'll probably say we should probably do that next week. Let's say that. If you're interested in getting together and having a Skype conversation about your issue brief, then let's do that next week. Drop me an email. Let's schedule a time. Y'all know how I roll. Let's do something early morning, get it out of the way, make the day productive. Other than that, I really appreciate your work in the class. I hope you are having a good experience. I can't underscore this enough. Spend time doing the reading. Okay? If you want to do well on this issue brief, I've got to know that you're taking concepts and ideas from the reading and you're plopping them in the issue brief. I would say on average for this issue brief, I'm probably looking for about 15 to 20 in-text citations. I'm probably looking for 12 to 15 concepts or ideas that are reflective of the reading. So get to work on it now. It's a challenge, but I know that you can do it. Other than that, I hope that you can really understand me because I can see my face is still swollen. I had a difficult time talking, but hey, hopefully it'll be worth it. Thanks so much for your time. I hope that you have a great day. The XFL is coming this weekend. And for those of you who've never seen the XFL, go back and look at some tape of the old XFL. It's been a great week in sports social work. A few jobs came out for sports social workers, one with the Oakland Raiders, another the executive director of the NFL Trust powered by the NFLPA. So hey, great things in the field of social work. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I appreciate you, and we'll catch up soon. Peace.